and welcome to this episode of the Capitalized Life and Retirement Show. I'm your host, Matthew Johnson, president and owner of Johnson Wealth and Income Management, a retirement income source located in Clear Lake and Humboldt and Ankeny, Iowa. If you're new to the program, not only do we want to say welcome, but we also want to encourage you to find all the various different resources that we have provided and that we continually produce for your education. You know, sometimes it's not the things that you know that hurt you, it's the things that you don't know. And it's for this reason that we have white papers on our website at johnsonwim.com. Those help you to provide just down-to-earth, basic, essential information, written in such a way that it's plain English. You can understand it and you can apply it to your life. These are things that are financially relevant, like reducing risk in retirement, increasing and maximizing income with safety, being able to learn how to pass on assets with as little taxation as possible to your heirs. All of these things can seem very overwhelming, but if we eat this elephant one bite at a time and you educate yourself a little at a time, I guarantee you're going to be able to be much more well-read and much more confident in your retirement decisions going forward. I also encourage you to go to our website to find radio shows of the past. You can also go to YouTube and look up our channel, the Capitalized Life and Retirement Channel. I also encourage you get a copy of my book, The Capitalized Retirement. Something financially relevant that you can put in your hands, that you can study and understand better why the market does what it does and what we need to be careful and watchful of as we get into retirement. Now, today I'd like to begin with a question. And I know it may sound like a bit of a simplistic question, maybe even silly to you, but I want you to just consider it very seriously. What is controlling your retirement? I told you, it's very simple, and it's also almost silly. You might be thinking, well, I have an answer to that, and you know what? There could be multiple answers to this question. What is controlling your retirement? And many of which would be absolutely relevant, many of which would be absolutely correct. You might give me answers like, well, my advisor is controlling my retirement. You might say, well, my fund manager is controlling my retirement. You could say things like my custodian, or you might even say, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, myself, I'm controlling my retirement. So let me just ask you this question. As of late, we have seen quite a little volatility that's been taking place in the market. All eyes are focused on the conflict in Iran, the outcome of the talks, the next maneuver, the next move by this administration or by the Iranians. This is something that we are all and can be very concerned with. And the reality is that we ought to be concerned with these things, especially if they're going to have an impact on our retirement. You see, all too often, it's not just the custodian that is taking and controlling our retirement. It's not the fund manager. It's not even the advisor or yourself. Oftentimes, there is a much broader, bigger source that is taking and disrupting your retirement, or it is moving it up or moving it down. And what is that source? What is that thing? The thing is the stock market. I want you to think about that. You see, oftentimes we tend to believe that we have control of our retirement. We want to have control of our retirement. And you know what? You should have control of your retirement. But the decisions you're making from day to day, month to month, year to year, concerning what projects you want to accomplish, what vacations you want to take, what car you want to drive. All too often, those decisions to spend money are dictated by what's happening in your portfolio. And if that is the case, and you're in retirement, you are now in the distribution stage of your life where you've already worked to save your money. Now you're receiving income from your portfolio. My friend, I want you to be very, very careful to understand that you are a potential sitting duck. If we think back in time, if we consider, say, anywhere from, say, the turn of the century forward, we know that things have hit us by surprise. We know that things have come out of the blue. We've experienced black swan events. And you know what? We're a resilient bunch. We actually always come back. And you know what? When advisors and custodians and Wall Street proponents tell you the stock market always comes back, they're not lying. The stock market always does come back. But let me ask you this question. If that is the case, then why is it that we see so many people that during bouts of volatility, they put their retirement life on hold? They postpone decisions. Why is it that we see retirees that arguably would have otherwise saved more than enough money for retirement savings, and yet what happened was they ultimately ended up running out of money before they ran out of life? Why does all of that happen? Well, I can tell you that we'll never know the details of every single person, but what we can surmise is that over the course of time, there is most definitely a trend, a repeated pattern that we see. And that repeated pattern is the fact that even though they made the transition from the accumulation stage of their life to the distribution stage of their life, they failed to align their strategies, how they're investing their money, how they are positioning, what they're owning to align with that new stage of life. And the reality is that if a person does not have the income that they need, if a person does not have the income that they want, well, that's the whole reason that we've worked hard to save for retirement. Generally speaking, Social Security is only going to comprise about 40% of your retirement spending. Social Security was never really designed ever to be a full and total protection and completion and providence of all the retirement income that we needed. That was upon us to save and to supplement Social Security. And you might be lucky where you have Social Security plus you have a pension. And you may have a greater level of certainty. And for that, I'm thankful. Most people do not. They say only 20% of Americans today have pensions. I don't believe that that number is actually quite that high. I think it could be even less. But nevertheless, those of you that don't have the pension, those of you that are trying to live off from Social Security and you are needing your retirement savings to supplement your retirement, my friends, it is you that I'm speaking of. You see, if you get this twinge of fear or worry in your stomach when you see headlines, when you think to yourself, here we go again, when you see or hear the news, when you realize that you need to be potentially more financially careful because of everything that's going on right now, well, that could be a symptom of a much deeper problem. This could be something where you are in a position as of right now where your gut is telling you that you are at risk. Your gut instinct could be telling you that you could be in for another wild ride within the stock market if things don't turn out perfectly right. And you know what? That's no way to live in retirement. If the headlines have you concerned, if the news has you somewhat losing sleep, if you're putting your life on hold, you're putting your retirement plans and setting them on the back burner because you really just want to see how this is all going to pan out, You are allowing the stock market, you are allowing another entity to dictate your life. And here's what people tell me. Well, Matthew, I don't know what else to do. And that is an honest answer. In fact, I'm going to suggest to you that I believe that my industry, the financial services industry, has actually let you down. We have actually done you a disservice. The financial services world has worked so hard to try to encourage you to save. It's worked so hard to give you the tools to save. It's worked so hard to provide you tools of accumulation. But that's where we stopped. That's where we stopped. We basically showed you how to accumulate, but we didn't show you and teach you and train you how to distribute. We didn't show you that it was okay to change methodology and strategy and tools when you come to the distribution stage of your life. Well, my friend, it is. It's okay. It's perfectly normal, in fact. It's something that we should be doing. Now, is this to say that you got to get rid of stock? And the answer is absolutely not. You do not. But I want you to maybe imagine your retirement this way. You have a retirement and you have a retirement plan. You have a portfolio. You have an advisor who, instead of trying to prioritize, putting points on the board, throwing Hail Mary passes to try to hit big wins, well, we're now all about taking and preserving your principal, making certain that with the volatility, with the headlines, even though it could provide some degree of an impact, all in all, it hasn't impacted your income at all. In fact, the income that you're receiving from month to month, well, it's just a byproduct of how you're investing. It's interest, it's dividends. And here's the real kicker, it's all contractual. Things that provide your lifestyle with income that's repeatable, predictable. Essentially taking all of your principal and turning it into an income machine. You see, when we think about our principal, we have done so much to save our principal. We have done so much to add to our principal. But our principal has a distinct job once we hit retirement. And that distinct job is to pay us now. It is to return the favor. Except we're not here. We're not doing this. We're not crossing our fingers and toes, just hoping. We're not out on the sidewalk with our pom-poms jumping up and down, saying, go stock market, go. We're not laying our money on Red 13 and allowing our advisor to not only risk our money, but risk our time. Where if we lose, we have to wait for things to come back before we can feel okay again. We're not in a position where we're having to put our retirement plans on hold because, well, after all, the market's down and we'd have to sell at a loss to be able to make that vacation happen. No, my friends, those things need to be gone. Those things need to be out of your life. Those were things that other people other than yourself, may be experiencing because of who they work with. But when you come and you begin to work with an advisor, you work with a fiduciary, someone whose area of expertise is that of income preservation, income maximization, the freedom and the peace of mind that comes with that, knowing that you actually have all of the points on the board to win this game. You just have to know how to invest it properly so that you can get the income that you want. So you can take those vacations. You can spoil those grandbabies. Well, if that sounds like a much more sane retirement, if that sounds like a smarter plan to you, where it's actually your lifestyle that is dictating your retirement. It is your lifestyle that is dictating how your money is invested. My friends, that's how your retirement and your retirement plan is actually supposed to work. Quit taking pot shots at the stock market and trying to convince yourself that you have to be brave and courageous and you have to stick it through. You have to ride it out. You're in it for the long haul. I'm sorry. That's what you did when you had the security of a paycheck and you were putting money into your retirement savings. Now it's time for you to have less worry. It's time for you to have less anxiety and stress. It's time for you to sleep at night. And it's time for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. We're enjoying the income that all of the principal that all of you have saved is now able to produce month after month. I'm Matthew Johnson. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. And remember, it's up to you to make today a great day.